Good evening. Hello, hello. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm still waiting for your colleagues to join, eh?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them to join so that we can start off.
Okay.
Where did we stop last class?
On scenario, we did scenario analysis.
No. That is issues in FM. This is financial risk management.
Oh, that was issues in the.
The scenario was captured at the issues in FM. I introduce the subject, financial risk management and derivatives. Did we introduce the subject of derivatives? Derivative. I must have introduced the subject of derivative markets and derivative instruments.
Yes.
The forwards, the futures, the swaps.
Yeah.
I talked about those and options.
Yes.
Okay. But, I think today we want to embark on option pricing. You guys have not joined, wondering.
Yeah, maybe I'm also on the way. I usually log in on the way.
Oh, okay. So let's give some small allowance so for them to join. So I want to give a small allowance, up to some 5 minutes break, then I'll start off. The rest will find us going on.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I just want to give some 5 minutes break, then I start off. So in our last class, I gave an overview of the derivative markets. Hello, you are getting me?
Yes, Malim.
Yes, in our last class, I gave an overview of derivative markets. I introduced the concept of financial risk management in our last class. I said what it is and explained how it is important. The financial risk management exercise is important to an organization. And I went further to introduce derivative markets, the nature of derivative markets. I think I explained what are these markets, and I went further to talk about the various derivative instruments. I think if I remember, I talked about a forward, a future, an option, and a swap. Briefly, did I mention this? Those who are there last class?
Yes, yes.
Explain what's I explained the forward, the various characteristics of a forward contract, future, the various characteristics of a futures contract, differences between a forward and a future. Then I talked about swaps, what a swap is, the importance of that instrument in risk management, the different types of financial swaps, risk associated with the use of swaps. And I believe I talked about an option. I'm not very sure whether I went to that extent. I'm not sure whether I talked about an option. I'm not sure.
You have talked about
an option. Did I explain an option?
Yes, Malim. You have talked about.
Or I explained an option, what it is, call option, put option.
Yeah.
An option is the money, out of the money, and so forth and so on. I think that is nice.
Yeah.
Now, I think that lays a foundation for my discussion this evening. That is pricing of one of these derivative assets referred to as an option. So today I want to work on discussing on how to price options, or what sometimes we refer to as valuation of options. So we know what is an option. I've talked about it before. I may not want to again go on to discussing a lot of details on that area. But before I embark on the subject of option pricing, I think it is important perhaps to highlight some of the key issues. Let me see what I can share this document. Okay, just give me a minute, please. Oh, I removed this. Okay, so I explained what is an option in the last class. Just briefly, I think I said an option is a contract that grants the holder of the option with the right, but not an obligation to either buy or sell an asset at a specified price referred to as a strike price, and at a specified time period known as exercise period. I went further to point out that there are two various types of options. There are two common forms of options. That is a call option and a put option. And I went further to say that a call option grants the holder of the option with the right, but not an obligation to buy an asset, right, but not an obligation to buy an asset at a specified price. A put option, on the other side, grants the holder of the option with the right, but not an obligation to sell an asset at a specified price. So as we embark on the subject of option pricing, I think it's important for us then to appreciate that pricing options involve pricing of either a call option or pricing of a put option. Pricing of a call option or pricing of a put option. And I believe I must have clarified that when you talk about these options, we have European option and American option. Did I? I hope I did mention this. I clarified this.
Yes.
In our last class.
Yeah.
You may have a European call option, a European put option, an American call option, and an American put option. Now, I also emphasized that an option merely gives one the right or an obligation, a right to buy or sell an asset. It's a right that you obtain, but you cannot be compelled. You cannot be compelled to exercise your right to buy or sell an asset. It merely grants the holder the right to buy an asset or the right to sell an asset. But whether or not the holder of the option buys or sells the asset, we say it, the holder incurs a cost we refer to as a premium cost. Okay? You can choose to exercise your right to buy the asset or ignore. Or you can choose to exercise your right to sell the asset or ignore. But whether or not that right is exercised, the holder of the option incurs what we call a premium cost. So premium cost is a cost incurred, is one of the common costs incurred when you're dealing with options. Now, when I bring in the subject, so those are issues I think I talked about in general last time. Those are issues that I talked in general when I was addressing the subject of options. Now today, I wish to proceed to pricing of options. As we go through pricing of options, it's important that those issues are clear. It's important that those issues are clear. Now, pricing of options, or what sometimes we refer to as valuation of options, is the same thing. You can talk about pricing or talk about valuation of options. In some of the books where you read, they talk about pricing of options. Some books talk about valuation of options, establishing the worth of an option. Yeah, valuation of options entails pricing of options, or rather establishing the value of an option or the price of an option. Yeah, you can talk about value of an option, the price of an option, or some people can talk about the worth of an option. It's the same thing. So when you talk about value of an option, the price of an option, or the worth of an option, is the same thing. Now, valuation of options can be done using various approaches. One is the basic approach, basic valuation approach. The basic, this is the most simplified approach. We have the Black-Scholes model. Whether it's Scholes or Scholz. Black-Scholes model. And then there is a binomial option pricing model. Binomial option pricing model. I'm hoping you guys are getting me loud and clear. I'm hoping you guys are getting me loud and clear.
Yes, Malim, we are getting you.
Okay, so when we embark on the subject of valuing of options, a There are three common approaches that are used. I've talked about the basic model, the Black-Scholes model, and the binomial model. I'm not sure whether we are familiar with any of these models from your previous discussions. Like in international finance, did you interact with some of these models?
Hey, I want you.
You guys,
Yes.
in the past, which one have you interacted with?
Oh, that
We have seen
The
black
Black-Scholes.
skulls
The
and
Black-Scholes.
binomial. And
The
binomial.
black spots.
You went both
And
of
the
these
binomial.
in international finance.
Yes, and binomial.
Okay. So that means what we'll be
Yeah,
doing
we did
is
part of the binomial.
binomial. What part
Yes.
of binomial did you do?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did some, yeah.
Did you value both call option and put option using the binomial model?
The binomial though.
So what we are discussing is what you guys are aware. So it's nothing new. We'll be telling you. Okay. But
Okay.
this is just, yeah. So in other words, what we are discussing is what you have come across. I should engage my gear now. Move to the fastest gear.
Yes.
Yeah, so these are the approaches, the common approaches which are used to value options, or rather to establish what we call price of an option. Of course, we'll need to start with the basic approach. Then we proceed to the Black-Scholes model. Then from there, we wind up our discussion using the binomial model. Now, when I go through Black-Scholes model, I know what you did at the basic evaluation of stocks, but I'll want to add value to a discussion by going through expansionary options. I don't think you did that in international finance. Other than valuation of stock options, I think I'm going to bring in expansionary options, valuation of expansionary options. Perhaps I think that may add some value to this discussion. Now, the first model is the basic valuation approach, where an option is valued using taking into account only two factors. When we use the basic valuation model, we value stock options, that is a call option and a put option, considering only two factors. One is the stock price. Let me call it S. The other one is the exercise price. Exercise price. Let me call it capital E. Of course, there are many factors influencing the value of an option. But as we go through the basic model, we only value stock options, looking at only two factors, the stock price and the exercise. I think I've already said in the past that this exercise price is also known as a strike price. Isn't it? You can talk about exercise price, or you may talk about a strike price. Now, if we use the basic valuation model, the value of a call option is given by the maximum of a stock price less exercise price or zero, whichever is higher. Yeah, so the difference between the stock price and the strike price or zero, whichever is higher. So like now, assuming the stock price is 20, exercise price, let me assume, is 10. The value of these call options is equal to maximum of the difference between the stock price and the strike price or zero, whichever is higher. So when you say 20 minus 10, that is 10, or zero, whichever is higher, the value of that option should be 10. But suppose the stock price was 5, strike price is 10. What could have been the value of a call option in this case?
Zero.
Zero. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. An option price cannot be negative. So 5 minus 10, that is minus 5, or zero, whichever is the maximum. Okay. Now, once you have established the value of a call option, then you can proceed and work out the profit or loss that arise from exercising the option. That is value of a call option, value of a call option, deduct premium cost. The value of a call option, deduct premium cost. Now, assuming this value, assuming we had a premium cost, let me assume this illustration is a premium cost of 5 shillings. Assuming there's a premium payable of 5 shillings, then you can see that if the value of a call option is 10, then 10 minus that premium cost, there will be a profit of 5. Okay? In the second case, if the value of an option is 0 minus 5, there will be a loss of 5. Yeah, what I'm saying is value of a call option minus premium cost, that could be a gain of 5. Or if the value of the option was 0, then 0 minus 5, that should be a loss of 5. Now this profit means the option is in the money. To who? Who will gain these 5 shillings?
The buyer.
Yes. In the money to the buyer. In the money. It's a profit. Profit means the option is in the money to the buyer. If it's a loss, then we conclude the option is out of the money to the buyer. So this is a loss to the buyer. This is a gain to the buyer. But if the answer is 0, if the difference here is 0, then of course now we say the option is said to be at the money. I think those are issues which I talked generally when I was talking about options. An option is in the money, an option is out of the money, or an option is at the money. Okay. Now, it's possible to present this information. It's possible to present this information on a graph. You know, you can have a sketch showing profit or loss on this axis. Of course, the various stock prices can be shown here. Maybe a stock price of 10, a stock price of 20, a stock price of 30, possible stock prices, and so forth and so on. The profit of 5, loss of minus 5, profit of 10, a loss of minus 10, profit of 15, a loss of minus 15. Because you're aware that options are the equivalent of zero-sum games. Did I say so?
Yes.
Yes. Whatever that the buyer gains is what the seller of the asset loses. Like now, assuming a point like here, a stock price is 0, a stock price of 10, suppose a buyer gains 5. The seller will lose 5. What the buyer gains is exactly what the seller loses. At 20, probably the same thing. Let me assume a profit of 5, a loss of 5. What the buyer gains is what the seller loses. Let me assume now at a price of 30, the 0 option is an option is at the money. At 40, probably now the situation reverses. Whatever this loses is whatever the other one gains. Whatever this one loses is what the other one gains. And let me assume at 60 the same thing applies. And if you make a sketch, you could derive a graph of this nature. I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with this kind of a graph. It looks like a butterfly, something. Eh? Have you interacted with this kind of a graph, ladies and gentlemen? Have you met
No.
it before? Huh?
No.
Now, what I've done is a sketch of the profit or loss against the various possible stock prices. Eh? Maybe in 3 months' time from now, or possible stock prices in 6 months' time from now, or could be 9 months' time from now. What I'm saying, if the stock price were to be so much, this one will gain, this one will lose. This one will gain, this one will lose. You can see here, if assuming the option is in the money to the buyer. Anywhere here, the option is said to be out of the money. Will it be out of the money to the seller? What I'm saying, anywhere here, the buyer will gain. Eh? But whatever the buyer gains is exactly what the seller loses. This situation can reverse here. The option is out of the money. Maybe out of the money to the buyer. Probably the buyer loses now. What the buyer loses is what the seller gains in the money. Will it be in the money to the seller? I'm trying to explain because we said options are equivalent of zero-sum games. Zero-sum games approach with respect to options. That anywhere here, you can see the buyer will gain, the seller will lose. But subsequently, the buyer may lose and the seller will gain. Here, the option is at the money. It is at the money to both the buyer and the seller of the asset. Let me go back to one of the handouts, which I think I shared with you. I think I've tried explaining this in one of the handouts. Let me see. I hope I didn't forget to post notes in the Moodle on this issue, option pricing. Nilisahau ama nilipost?
Bado sijaangalia mwalimu.
Oh, mjangalia. Let me see. Let me try to get. If it's not there, please let me know so that because you know there are many classes we are handling. I could think I've already posted notes, yet they are not there.
It's there.
They're there. Okay.
Yeah.
That is nice. That is nice. Let me see. What I've been explaining, I think, yeah, you can see the diagram is here. What I've been explaining, those are notes which I posted in your Moodle. You see, I've explained. I've already shared the paper. Can you see? You can see it. Is it feasible?
Yes, mwalimu.
Okay. Now, value of a call option is equal to maximum of stock price less strike price or zero, whichever is higher. That is the formula. And I've gone further here to point out here that profit or loss is a function of the value of a call option minus premium cost. Now, I've given a small illustration here. Consider a call option with the following characteristics. Exercise price, 100. Premium per call option, 10. Time to expiration, 3 months. And unfortunately, when you use the basic model, the time to expiration does not feature anywhere. But these are possible prices in 3 months' time. Value of a call option, use it, and the profit or loss, assuming the following market prices of stock after 3 months. 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So those are the stock prices. So the value of a call option is given by that formula. You can see this formula. Okay? If the stock price is 80, then you are saying maximum of 80 minus the strike price. Strike price is 100. Eh? You can see here, the strike price is 100. So 80 less 100 or 0, which is the maximum of the two. Minus 20, 0, the maximum is 0. Eh? If the stock price is 90, the 90 less exercise price, that's minus 10 or 0, whichever is higher, the maximum is 0. If the stock price is 100, then 100 minus 100 or 0, whichever is higher, that is 0. If the stock price were to be 110, so now that is 110 minus the strike price. Strike price is a constant, 10 or 0, whichever is higher. The value of that option is 10. 120 less strike price, that is 20 or 0, whichever is higher, then the high of that should be 20. Angela, just give me 1 minute. So are we seeing there? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so the profit or loss becomes what now? The profit or loss here is the value of the option minus the premium. There's a premium of 10 here. 0 minus 10, that is minus 10. That is a loss to the buyer. If the value of the option is 0 again, 0 minus 10, that is minus 10. Another loss to the buyer. 0 minus 10, another loss to the buyer. 10 minus 10, no gain, no gain, no loss. Then 20 minus 10, that should be 10, again to the buyer. So what I've done here, I'm sketching profit or loss against the stock price. This is what basically I've done. If the price is 80, the buyer will lose 10. You can see at this price here. The buyer will lose 10, but the seller will gain the 10. If the price is 90, the buyer will lose 10, but the seller will gain that 10 shillings. You can see, this is what I'm saying. Option is out of the money to the buyer. The buyer will lose. The option is in the money to the buyer. I mean to the seller. The option is in the money to the seller. Anyway, here, I think my sketch was not very good. At 100, you can see. Yes?
This one, if at all option is in the market for the seller.
Where?
The first part, the 80.
Uh-huh.
Then if it is zero-sum game, lose the seller, is out of the money, the seller.
No. Here, the buyer is the one losing 10. The seller is gaining that 10. Isn't it? Yeah, the buyer is losing 10. The seller is gaining 10. This minus 10 here is a loss to the buyer. A loss means out of the money. This is what I'm showing here. Is the writing visible? Is the writing visible? Yeah. So this is out of the money to the buyer. It is in the money to the seller. Okay? So the buyer will lose 10, the seller will gain that 10. Same thing applies at 90 and 100. Now, I think my sketch is not very good. Even at 100, same thing applies. You can see at 100, the sketch is not very good. This line could have gone somewhere there. Yeah, so if you sketched it well, ingeenda mpaka upande hii na irudi chini. Ende alafu iende juu. The sketch is not very good. At 100, we expect also ifike pande hiyo teremuke. Iende hivi pande. But you can see the logic. So anywhere here, the option is out of the money to the buyer. The option is in the money to the seller. Now, you can see when the price is 110, that is 0. The option is at the money to both the buyer and the seller. Now, at 120, you can see at 120, now the buyer gains 10. Buyer is supposed to gain and another price now, whether it's 130, 140, and so forth and so on. The buyer will be gaining. Option is in the money to the buyer. Any price here, the option will be in the money to the buyer, but the option will be out of the money to the seller. Yeah. So it's possible to show diagrammatically this. It's possible to show once you've established the profit or loss, it's possible to show diagrammatically how this appears. Now, using this basic approach, also, we can value a put option. You can see I've shared the formula there. Value of a put option is the maximum of E minus S or 0, whichever is higher. So what I've done is basically to interchange the S and E. That's what I've done. For a put option, you'll say the strike price less the stock price or 0, whichever is higher. And then the profit or loss is the value of a put option minus premium cost. Of course, now here, this is a cost incurred by the seller of the asset. And we can go through the same process like what we have done using this small illustration. Suppose you have a strike price of 50. There's a premium of 5, time to expiration of 6 months. And assuming these are the stock prices, sometimes in future, in 6 months' time, you're required to calculate the value of a put option and the profit or loss, assuming the following market prices of the underlying security after 6 months. The price could be 35, could be 40, could be 45, 50, and so forth and so on. So you bring in the formula. So the strike price is 50 minus 35, assuming the market price is 35. So 50 minus 35 or 0, of course, the higher of the two is 15. The strike price is 50 minus 40, 10 or 0, whichever is higher. Obviously, 10 is higher now. And you can see what's happening there. This is 5, 0. This must be 0. Then the profit or loss arising from this value of a put option minus premium cost. So 15 is the value of a put option minus premium of 5. 10 in the money to the seller. Seller will gain 10. Of course, the buyer will lose that 10. If the value of the option is 10, 10 minus 5, that is 5. Again to the seller. If it's 5, 5 minus 5 is 0. The option now is at the money to both buyer and seller. 0 minus 5, that is minus 5. The option is out of the money to the seller. But of course, whatever the seller loses is exactly what the buyer gains, and so forth and so on. And again, it's possible for us to come up with that kind of a graph. It's possible to come up with that kind of a graph. If you plot profit or loss against the stock price, like now here, you see the price is 35. These are loss to the seller, 35. 35 and 40, definitely you can see if the price is 35 and 40, it's a gain to the seller. At 35 and 40, it's a gain to the seller. And that's why we can see here the option is in the money. Oh, is that correct? It's in the money to the buyer, out of the money to the seller. Hapa nafikiri kuna shida kidogo eh. Hii mtarekebisha eh?
Is there any change between the two graphs?
Sorry?
Drawing structure, is there any difference?
No. There's no difference. There's no difference. You know, you could start even from this end. Could start like
depend
that.
On the,
there's no difference. There's no difference. You know, this can be a line like that, or you could go up. Iende mpaka mwisho. Hiyo ilikuwa 10. 10.
Yeah.
Inapanda hivyo, inarudi hivyo. No, there is no difference in that structure. There's no difference. Yeah, like now, if you see at 35, yeah, that is correct. The buyer will lose, but the seller gains. Yeah, profit or loss to the profit or loss to the buyer of the put option. Do they? No, I think there is an error here.
It's lost to the buyer.
The profit or loss. This is a put option. Profit or loss to the seller. The seller of the asset. So here, ideally, this is a profit to the seller. The option is the money. You see, there's an error here. Who has gained there? It is a seller. So option is in the money to the seller. It's in the money here to the seller. It is out of the money to the buyer. The option is in the money. It is in the money to the seller. And it's out of the money to the buyer. Here, the option is at the money to both buyer and seller. But subsequently, when you check here, the seller has lost. So the buyer will gain. So the option should be out of the money. The option should be out of the money to the seller. There's a problem here. I think once you get your document, you can correct. Here, the option is out of the money to the seller. It's in the money to the buyer. Okay. I think you are capable of correcting that error, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're capable. You can correct that error. Yeah. So the drawing structure, you don't have to worry. It is to show the range of prices within which the seller will gain and the buyer loses, and the range of prices within which the seller will lose and the buyer gains. This is a basic approach. This is a basic approach of valuing stock options that considers only two factors. Now, I think this lays a foundation. So here, please make sure you make a correction of the error here when you get your handout. See, it is clear, that issue. You can correct that printing error.
Yeah.
Now, I want us to proceed to the Black-Scholes model. The Black-Scholes model of valuing stock options. I don't know whether it's Black-Scholes or Black-Scholes. Is it Black-Scholes or Black-Scholes? Huh? Is it Black-Scholes or Black-Scholes?
The H is silent. The way we see Scholes.
So people will call it a Black-Scholes. So again, I will call it Black-Scholes. Yeah, so it's one of the other popular approach of valuing options. The Black-Scholes model values stock options, both a call option and a put option. But again, the model can be used to value expansionary options. I don't know whether you guys address the issue of expansionary options. Black-Scholes model. This is a model that again can be used to value both a call and a put option by taking into account 5 factors. By the way, I think it's important for me to start by saying that this model only values European options. The Black-Scholes model cannot value American options. What is the difference between European and American options? What is the difference between European and American option?
Can I attempt?
Yes.
European options are the one that can be exercised at a specified period.
They have a definite maturity period.
Yeah, but American options can be exercised
Yes, at any
anytime.
time. So the Black-Scholes model is applied to value European options, which are options which have a definite maturity time. The options that mature after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or whichever time. Now, the
Yes.
Black-Scholes model values stock options taking into account 5 factors. One is the stock price. Which are the other factors? 2,
Exercise price.
exercise price. 3,
Time to expiration in years.
the time to expiration.
Yes.
In years, the time to expiration in years.
Yes.
Let me call it small t. Stock price, can I call it S or P?
Yes.
Again, we can call it capital E. Now, the other one is risk-free rate. The risk-free rate of return. Let me call it small r. Then the final factor is volatility of returns. So this one is denoted by the standard deviation. Those are the symbols.
Yes, standard deviation.
Standard deviation. Volatility is a measure of the variations. Now, both call option and the put options are valued considering 5 factors, unlike the basic approach where only 2 factors are considered. Now, value of a call option is a function of these factors. S, P, time to expiration, risk-free rate, and volatility. I think we can summarize that that way. Value of a call option is a function of 5 factors. These are independent factors. All these 5 are independent factors influencing the price of a call option. And then here we should have a plus, minus, plus, the rest is plus. Like that. Value of a put option is a function of the same factors. But now there is a minus here and a minus here, and the rest are plus. You know that summarizes. That summarizes the factors influencing the value of an option. Even if we don't write anything, you know, already you know how the stock price influences value of a call option, and the stock price, what the relationship exists between the stock price and the value of a put option. When I say positive, positive means there is a direct relationship. If the value goes up, then the value of the option will go up, and the vice versa. That is positive. But negative, if the value of a factor goes up, the value of the option will come down. That is negative. Inverse relationship. Mnaona hapo Mnaona hapo vile kunaenda. N of these variables that has a plus, a rise in the value of that variable, rise in the value of an option, and the vice versa. But anywhere you have a negative, it's an inverse relationship. Like now, the higher the strike price, the smaller the value of a call option. The smaller the strike price, the higher the value of a call option. The higher the stock price, the higher the value of a call option. And vice versa. The higher the stock price, the smaller the value of a put option. And the vice versa. Mnaona hapo, eh?
Yes, yes.
Are you seeing? When I say plus, what it means, eh?
Yeah.
And when we say a minus, what it means, eh?
Negative impact, eh?
Eh?
That's negative impact to the
Mmekumbuka?
call option. Yeah.
Sorry, what are you saying? It's my...
I was saying the negative side has a negative effect. It has emphasis.
It's an inverse or a negative relationship for that matter. Positive is a direct relationship, eh?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, let me briefly talk about these factors and how they influence value of a call option and connect that with the option Greek terminologies. Eh? You know the option Greek terminologies?
Yep. Yeah.
Determinant of a call option price. Value of a call option. Wacha niongee mambo ya call option peke yake. Put option mtasoma peke yenu, eh? Value of a call option is a function of SE, RT, and volatility. I've said plus.
Minus.
Nasema hapa plus, minus, plus, plus, and plus. Eh? The higher the stock price, the greater the value of a call option. Eh? The smaller the stock price, the smaller the value of a call option. Eh? Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, of course, holding other factors constant. Eh? You know, these are independent factors. Eh? When you are looking at how the stock price influences the value of a call option, then you are holding other factors constant. I think economists talk about ceteris paribus. Eh? Yeah, the higher the stock price, the higher the value of a call option, and the vice versa. Holding other factors constant. Eh? Economists use the word ceteris paribus. Eh? Now, the sensitivity of the stock price to change, the sensitivity of an option price to change in the stock price is explained by a Greek terminology known as delta. Delta. One of the option Greek terminologies is referred to as delta. Change in option price over change in stock price. Eh? Delta is a Greek terminology that explains the sensitivity of an option price to change in the stock price, how the option price responds to the change in the stock price. For a call option, the higher the stock price, the greater the value of a call option. The smaller the stock price, the smaller the value of a call option. And the vice versa, you know. And now, that means delta of a call option must be positive, eh? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And how about delta of a put option?
Negative.
We said value of a put option is a function of same factors, eh?
Yes.
Time to expiration, volatility, but here is minus, plus, minus, plus, plus, eh? There's an inverse relationship, eh? Between the stock price and the value of a put option, eh? Ideally, you'll expect delta of a put option to be negative, eh? Given the negative nature of that relationship, eh? Huh? Delta of a put option is negative, delta of a call option must be positive, eh? here, the higher the stock price, the smaller the value of a put option. The smaller the stock price, the higher the value of a put option. That's an inverse relationship. So delta of a put option should be negative, whereas the delta of a call option is positive. Second factor is the strike price. You can see this is an inverse relationship. The higher the strike price, the smaller the value of a call option. The smaller the strike price, the higher the value of a call option. How about the put option? Direct relationship.
The higher the put option.
The higher the strike price, the higher the value of a put option. The smaller the strike price, the smaller the value of a put option. But unfortunately, we don't have a Greek terminology that explains the sensitivity of a strike price to the value of a call option. I've not come across a Greek terms that explains that. Risk-free rate of return. Risk-free rate of return. Positive relationship with the value of a call option. Inverse relationship, the value of a put option. So here, yes?
I didn't get about the second determinant. You say the higher the strike price there?
Which one? Call or a put option?
Determinant.
Call or a put option? Call or a put option?
The call option.
Call option is an inverse relationship. It's a negative. So the higher the strike price, the smaller the value of a call option.
So
yeah, the higher the strike price, the smaller the value of a call option. But for a put option, this is positive.
So
yeah, so the higher the strike price, the higher the value of a put option. Yeah, so risk-free rate, there is a positive relationship between the risk-free rate and the value of a call option. But looks like an inverse relationship between risk-free rate and the value of a put option. Now the sensitivity of an option price, whether it's a call or a put option, to change in risk-free rate of return is explained by a Greek terminology referred to as rho. How do you pronounce this one? How do you pronounce this term?
Rho.
Rho. The sensitivity of an option price to change in the risk-free. Change in option price due to change in risk-free rate of return. Change in option price divided by the change in the risk-free. You know, like now, if you look at this keenly, what I'm saying is change in Y over change in X1. See here? And here, I'm saying change in Y over change in X2. Assuming this is X1, X2, X3, X4, X5. These are independent factors. So we are looking at how each of those factors influences an option price, holding other factors constant. So this is change in Y over change in X1. This is change in Y over change in X2. Yeah. So rho explains the sensitivity of an option price to change in the risk-free rate of return. So if you do the computation, I will expect that the value of this rho for a call option should be positive. For a put option should be negative. The third factor is the time to expiration in years. The longer the time to expiration years, the higher the value of a call option. The longer the time to expiration, the higher the value of a put option. Either way, we have a positive relationship between time to expiration and the value of a call option, as well as value of a put option. Kwa tumesema minus, ingine ni positive, eh? For a call option, eh? Now, the sensitivity of an option price to change in time to expiration, holding other factors constant, is explained by a Greek terminology known as, how do you pronounce this term? Beta.
Beta.
Huh?
Beta.
This is number what? Number 3 or 4? Greek terminology number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3 or 4. I talked about delta.
So,
Delta.
rho.
Rho. Ingine nimesema ni gani?
Theta. 3.
Yeah, number 3. Hii ni number 3, eh? Change in option price due to change in time to expiration. Eh? How the option price responds to the change in the time to expiration, holding other factors constant. Eh? Then, of course, we have another Greek terminology that shows the sensitivity of an option price to change in volatility, known as Vega. Is it Vega or Vega? Change in option price due to change in volatility of returns. Eh? As explained by the standard deviation. Eh? You know, the argument here is that the higher the volatility of return, the higher the probability that the stock price will be higher than exercise price. Yeah. The higher the volatility of return, the higher the chance that stock price will be greater than the strike price, and therefore the higher the value of a call option. Same thing applies with time to expiration. The argument is that the longer the time to expiration, the higher the probability that the stock price will be greater than strike price, and hence the higher the value of a call option. So that sensitivity of an option price to change in volatility is Vega. There's another Greek term known as gamma. What's gamma? Everybody might have an idea. What's gamma? The sensitivity of an option price to change in the delta. Change in option price due to the change in delta of the option. Eh? The change in option price due to a change in the delta of the option is gamma. And these are the common Greek terms that usually we come across, option Greek terminologies. Okay. I think with this small background, then we can now bring in the formula for valuing options using the Black-Scholes model. If you are valuing a call option, what is the formula for valuing a call option? Anybody who can remember? Value of a call option is equal to, you say SND1 minus E over small e RT ND2. Could that be the formula for valuing a stock option, a call option?
Yes.
Is it the same thing as saying SND1 less E, small e, minus RT ND2? Is it the same thing?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Value of a call option is SND1 minus E, small e, minus RT ND2, where S is what?
The price.
The stock price. Capital E is what? Exercise price. Eh? R is what? Risk-free rate. T is what?
Time to maturity.
Time to maturity in years. Eh?
Yes.
How about ND1?
Standard.
ND1 and ND2 represents what now?
from normal distribution.
Represents what?
Curve. The area under the normal curve.
Area under the normal distribution curve up to D1, eh?
Yeah.
Huh? And this is the area under the normal distribution curve up to D2. Area under the normal distribution curve up to D1, area under the normal curve up to D2. What I'm trying to say is that you have a normal distribution like that. Assuming D1 is positive, itakuwa upande hiyo, eh? You're talking about that area?
Yeah.
Huh? But assuming D1 is negative, then you will say minus D1 eh? On this axis. Eh?
Yeah.
Sindio? Now, you are saying area under the normal curve up to D1. And D1 can be positive, D1 can be negative. If D1 is positive, you position it on the upper tail. Eh? This N D1. Eh? But if D1 is negative, N minus D1. Eh? Sindio? Hii iko sawa namna hiyo? So it's good for you to be able to identify which area you're looking for. Eh? Yeah. And it's very good for you to know that that D1 could lie on the upper tail or may lie on the lower tail. Now, how do you arrive at D1? That D1 that can be positive or negative, you can say natural log of S over E plus R plus half variance T divided by
N.
the standard deviation is square root of T.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Dill was given 100 hours of testimony as Mr.
Unakumbuka hiyo formula?
Imperative to keep his name out.
Yes.
Oh, Mayor.
The D1 which I'm saying is positive. The D1 that I'm saying, which can be positive, positioned on the upper tail, or negative, position on the lower tail, shall be captured using this formula. This is natural log. In your calculator, your Q equal kwa calculator, S over E, R 0.5 variance T. So that this formula should be on your fingertips. Eh? The same thing applies to ND2. Assuming you're looking for D2. If it is positive, inakuwa on the upper tail. Eh? Here itakuwa ND2. Kama ni negative on the lower tail, N minus D2. Where D2 is equal to what? D1 minus
D1 minus standard deviation square root of T.
Yeah. Hii mnakumbuka pia eh?
Yes.
So you need to look for D2 and find
Yes.
ND2, look for D1 and find ND, and then of course you move to the formula. You substitute, that should give you the value of a call option. Eh? Let me check in the handout whether I've captured these stories. There's a handout which I gave you. Najua naweza kuwa naongea mambo mingi na iko kwa handout. Eh? Acha tu confirm zaidi iko kwa handout. Eh? Nisije kuambiwa naongea mambo mingi ambayo iko kwa handout. Eh? So I shared some notes on the black skulls model. Hebu nitafute hiyo mahali hiyo folder iko. So you can see these notes are already shared. Are you able to see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Those notes are there in your Moodle. I've explained generally the Black-Scholes model, factors affecting call options. Hiyo tumeongea. Hii ndio formula for finding the value of a call option.
Yes.
Na hiyo ndio formula for finding D1. What I've only used P here. In the previous one I said S. Sasa hapa ni P. Hiyo sidhani kama kuna tofauti. See, it's the same thing.
Yes.
And D2, that's the same formula.
Yeah.
Then I forgot to tell you that small e is what in this model? Small e. This is a constant known as exponential constant that has a value of 2.7183.
Yes.
LLN is natural logarithm. Okay, now we have a small example that I've worked out here. As I take a small break, I want us to take like 10 minutes break.
5 minutes, man.
Huh?
Let's take 5 minutes so that we can end up.
We'll finish.
Oh, najua nyinyi hamuongei sana, si mimi ndio naongea. Anyway, let's have 5. Okay, let's have 5 minutes then. But you can be substituting this to the model. Have you seen a small quiz, a small assignment in your Moodle?
Yes.
Mwangalie kwa Moodle. Hiyo mtafanya tukishamaliza kudiscuss hii yote sasa mnaweza enda pale mfanye mpaka Tuesday. It's open mpaka Tuesday,
Okay.
A few multiple choice questions,
Sawa sawa.
Can you be looking at this? Hebu hiyo swali angalia haraka.
Sawa.
Excuse me, guys.
Okay, so let's peruse through the question very fast. Can we peruse through the question very fast?
Yes.
This question says the shares of ABC Limited are currently selling at 290 each at the stock exchange. This is the stock price. The exercise price for a 6-month call option is 260. This is capital E. 6 months. So time to expiration is what?
0.5.
0.5. Risk-free rate 12% per annum. Variance of ABC Limited share price is 0.15.
Yes.
Using the Black-Scholes option pricing model, determine the value of a call option. So the first thing is that you need to remember the formula. Value of a call option is PND1 minus E divided by that, multiplied by that. Then, of course, look for D1 quickly. You remember this formula, isn't it?
Yes.
You remember the formula?
Yeah.
So D1 is the natural log of P. P is 290, the stock price. E is the strike price of 260. So natural log of 250 divided by 2 plus the risk-free rate, 12%. That is 0.12. Okay. You can see here, 12%. Plus 0.5. 0.5 is a constant in the model. Variance, what you're given in this question is the variance of return of a share, 15%, 0.15.
Yes.
That variance is 0.1. You don't square now again. Can you see this standard deviation squared?
Yes, yes.
Variance is standard deviation, so you don't square again here. Then time to expiration in years. 6 months divided by 12, that is 0.5. Divided by the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Variance is 0.15. Take the square root of that, the square root time to expiration. Probably you need to confirm that this answer is correct. 0.75.
Yes.
It is correct.
Yeah.
So if it's correct, it lies on which tail of the normal distribution? Upper or lower tail?
Upper tail.
Yes. It lies on the upper tail of the normal distribution. What we are saying, we have this kind of a situation. In D1, 0.75. So that's the area you're looking for now, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, yesterday I sent you some 2 tables, your WhatsApp group. I hope you saw the difference between those tables. Did you see the difference? Look at your WhatsApp group. Please know the difference between the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you seeing the difference between the two?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at the upper table. Look at the upper table. Can you see the region shaded? The upper table.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what you are getting. That means if you use the upper table, you'll pick 0.5 plus what? This is what you are reading from the top table. The top table gives you what has been shaded. If you read 0.5, 7 under 5 from the top table, what does it give you? 0.7 under 5 from the top table.
0.22734.
Yes. So that means the area now should be 0.5 plus that.
Yeah.
And the one becomes 0.7734.
734, yeah.
Okay. But suppose you use the lower table. Just look at the lower table. Can you see that's cumulative now?
Yeah, cumulatively.
So if you read 0.7 under 5, what does it give you?
0.7734.
You see the difference now? So, yeah, that gives the answer direct. The lower table is cumulative. It gives the area direct.
Yeah.
So please take note of the difference between those tables when you're using them. You'll see the difference now.
Yeah.
Now, D2 should equal to D1 minus the standard deviation square root of T. So our D1 is 0.75 minus square root of 15, 0.15 times square root of 0.5.
Yeah.
The variance was 0.15. So you take the square root of the variance to find the standard deviation in this formula. So D2 should equal to let me go back to my handout again. Can you see now? So you confirm ND1 is correct. Did we find 0.7734? Tulipata hiyo?
Yes.
Now D1 is the answer 0.48. Is it confirmed? Now please take note there's an error here again. Are you noticing there's an error here?
There's an error here.
0.75 minus the square root of 0.15 times 0.7.
Yes.
There's the square root of 0.15 times square root of 0.5. There's an error. Can you confirm that please include the square root of 0.15 there times square root of 0.5, whatever answer you find, deduct from 0.5.
0.75.
Is the answer 0.48? There's an error here. There is something that is not incorporated in the working.
0.476.
Not 48.
Round of 0.778, yeah, round of.
Really? We find that then.
0.75 minus square root of 0.15 times 0.5.
Yes, square root. Both are square roots.
Yeah.
The answer is?
0.48.
So it's correct in the handout.
Yeah.
It's only that there is an omission, but the answer is correct.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
0.48 is correct.
Yes.
And therefore, ND2, can you confirm now using any of those tables? Using any of those tables, you will confirm that this is correct, 0.6844. You can use the upper table or the lower table. Just use either the upper table or the lower table.
World is mourning the fans
It's
of Ross
correct.
Thomas today, and nobody's got you covered right now.
Is this answer correct, 56.7? Whatever call option. Now, once you get this, you go back,
Yes.
substitute all the information up there. Substitute now all the details of the formula. 290 times 0.7734 less 26 divided by that, multiply by that. Can you confirm that the answer is 56.7? Value of a call option. Is it correct? So you don't trust my handout entirely, my answer. So it's good to confirm.
I think it's right. 6.7.
The answer is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, now before I wind up my discussion, let me mention that using this model, you can also value a put option. Using this model, you can also value a put option by using this formula. Value of a put option is E over small e RT n minus D2 less S n minus D1. Can you see what has happened to the previous formula for valuing a call option? What have we done to the formula for valuing a call option? We said value of a call option is S n D1 minus E over ERT and D2,
Yeah.
What has happened to that formula? You see, I've interchanged these elements.
Yeah.
Imekuja hapa,
Reverse,
imekuja upande hii,
Interchange.
I've interchanged those elements.
Yeah.
So when I'm valuing a put option, I've brought this one here minus that. And what have I done to the signs? This is positive becomes negative. And this is positive will become negative. Are you seeing? This is positive will become negative. That is positive will become negative here. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Now the computation of D1 or D2 use the same formulas. The formula I've given you for finding D1, hiyo ndio natumia tu. And the formula for finding D2, hiyo ndio natumia tu. If the answer is positive, when you're valuing a put option, you change the negative sign. It becomes negative. If this D1 is negative, then here it will become positive. Tuko pamoja hapo?
Yes.
When you're using this formula, the formula for finding D1 and D2 does not change. Ni kama ile ile tu, valuing of a call option, except once you use it and you find D1 is positive, here it becomes negative. If you find D1 is negative, here it will be positive. Minus, minus.
Yes, yes.
Alternatively, you can value a put option using the put call parity relationship. I just want to mention and stop there so that next time. The second way is the use of the put call parity relationship. The put call parity relationship where value of a put option is value of a call option plus E over ERT minus the stop loss. You need to a put call parity relationship. Of course, when you're using a put call parity relationship, you must know this, or you have to start by working it out, which we already know now. See here?
Yeah.
This one we found what? 56.1? 0.7.
27.
When you're using a put call parity relationship, you have to start by valuing a call option, which we already know. The answer was 56.7.
Yes.
This one strike price is 260. This one is 2.7183. Risk-free rate 12%. Was it 12?
0.12.
0.12. Time to expiration. Was it 0.12 or 0.15? Oh, here the variance. Time to expiration 0.5. Stock price
290.
When you do this, you will value a put option. You can see you can use the put call parity relation very fast. And again, the answer.
Yeah.
Given the value of a call option, you can quickly find the value of a put option.
Yes, yes.
Now, the previous formula, you can also use it. You already know D1. D1 ilikuwa ngapi? 0.75?
0.75.
Na D2 ilikuwa 0.48?
Yeah.
But now, when you're using the formula for a put option, you are talking about N minus D1. Eh?
Negative.
This is positive, it becomes negative, which means it lies on the lower tail of the normal distribution. Eh?
Yes, yes.
This one is positive. When you're looking for N minus D2, it's positive, becomes negative, which means again you lie on the lower tail of the normal distribution. Eh? Are we together?
Yes.
So you can then look for N minus D1 and N minus D2, the area on the tail, and then move the formula and value a put option. Eh? I think that's something which you can be trying.
That one we can only use table 1 senior Malim.
Yes?
This
Yes.
one. Lower tails. It's only applicable for table 1.
No. Okay. Let me clarify that then before we finish. Let me go back to my board. Eh? No, both tables can use. You can use both tables. Eh? Okay. Now, are you seeing my board?
Yes.
The first one is minus, D1 is minus what? 0.75?
75, yeah.
So you're looking for this area now. See there?
Yes.
Let's go to the top table. Top table is which area is shaded?
Right side. 0.
Yeah, they have shaded. This area is the one shaded, this one here. You know the top table gives the area half the region. Eh?
Yeah.
And this is what has been shaded. Eh? Si mnajua kutoka hapa katikati kurudi nyuma ni 0.5. Eh?
0.5, yeah.
So when you take 0.5 minus what has been shaded, when you read 0.75 from the table, gives you the area shaded. Eh? Gives you this. Eh?
Yeah.
Sindio?
Yeah.
Hiyo ilikuwa 0. What?
2734.
Yes. So that means this tail should be 0.2266. Eh? Sindio?
Yeah.
Hebu tuende kwa hiyo table nyingine. Yeah, it's good you have asked so that we clarify to avoid any confusion. Eh? D1 is minus 0.75. Now, the total area under this curve is 1. Eh?
Yeah.
What have they shaded? This area has been shaded.
3/4, yeah.
Sindio? So, kichukua 1 minus, what has been shaded?
1 minus 0.
0.7734.
Yeah.
So, what is left with?
0.226.
So, it's the same thing.
Yes, yes.
Whether you use the top table, but it's good to understand how to use those tables. Eh? What you have found now is N minus D1. Eh? I think you guys can find N minus D2. Sindio?
Yes.
Alafu mwenda kwa table. You go to the formula and substitute. Eh? So you can move to the formula and substitute now.
Yes, madam. You can do.
Okay. I want you to continue. Next time, I will continue this discussion a little bit to bring in expansionary options.
Okay.
Okay. There's what we call expansionary options. So the use of the Black-Scholes model to value expansionary options. Once we are done with that, then we proceed to the binomial option pricing. So, do we stop at this stage? Mnataka tuendelee?
Stop there.
Okay,
You can stop there.
Naona wengine walisahau login na registration number. Please be indicating your registration numbers. We have been asked to give strict instructions when you are logging in. Log in with your names and registration number, so that we save and we have a record. Now, finally, look at your Moodle. I've given you 10 quizzes, very small. It's about 10 questions which you can answer in only 20 minutes. Please take note of the settings. Ukianza huwezi rudi nyuma. Na ukianza huwezi, you have no other, it's only one attempt. Huh?
I hope the work and the time is equivalent.
20 minutes. It's only 20 minutes for 20 questions. Maswali kidogo kidogo. Okay? Mjaribu mfanye hizo
Sawa sawa mwalimu.
Sawa sawa.
Haya, wacha tumalizie mkutano hapa basi. Baki salama.
Okay,
Sawa.
good night.